Hi everyone! So first video review for this week is for Model Behaviour by Highton Stevenson. If you want to check out my Goodreads review, I did just post that the other day, so if you're on YouTube there's a link in the description below, and if you're on Facebook or you're on my blog then there is a link within the post, so I hope you'll go and check that out. And this is video review. So Model Behaviour by Highton Stevenson. Oh, I absolutely adored this. I really did. I actually read it as a beta reader, and then I read it again as a completed final thing to share with you this week. And Olivia is she's an ex-model in her own right, but she's also had a bit of a career sort of helping out in that environment, in that world. So she's heading back to LA after escaping quite a toxic relationship with another top model, and it's a chance meeting with Hillary that then leads to sort of further run-ins with her once they're both back in their hometown. And Olivia is really intrigued as to whether Hillary, this woman that she's met, could be a new friend for her, a new start to get her life back together in LA. So obviously, as always, when you're overcoming quite a traumatic situation, which Olivia is, the past sort of just keeps getting in your way, and that is definitely true for Olivia. The past can't help but get in her way, and it's sort of threatening her chance of happiness if she doesn't find a way to move past it. So with lots of encouragement from her mum and her very infectious daughter Gracie and Hillary, Olivia might just sort of manage to develop this friendship into more of a happy ending that she's always wanted, with someone who really cares about her and isn't not from the same background as her, if you know what I mean. So not from that same toxic environment of the media, and is a lot cooler and calmer and just good for her, I suppose. So there was so much about this story that just made it amazing. I love Claire's stories. I just think the most important one with this though is that she took quite sensitive subjects and handled them in a way that she was portraying that these glamorous lifestyles that models and stuff have isn't always what you see at face value, and that, you know, it's not always as glamorous as it seems either. There's a lot behind the scenes, and there are some very traumatic experiences that these people in these top media levels get sort of dragged into and found themselves wound up in by no fault of their own as well. And it literally can impact the life of anyone at all. And literally these things can also impact, it can be normal things, you know, in your own normal life that are traumatic. You don't need to be from that background. There's also that element in there as well, that Hillary, she's not from that background, but she also has her own traumatic events that affect her thoughts, decisions, life and everything. So it really has got the balance of the two, and all sensitive topics that Claire chose to tackle in this story really were handled with care, and they weren't overly graphic, which is great, because it means you get a hint and your own imagination can take what it wants from it. She just gives you a hint and you can run with it however active your imagination is, but she gives you enough for you to realise how harrowing it can be for the characters, and how horrible life can be if you're dragged into that dangerous and toxic environment and situations that you don't really want to find yourself in, and more importantly how it can manipulate people. It can also be the toxin, you know, the toxic situation that manipulates the person, not necessarily them acting out of character because they choose to, you know. It can be totally thrown on them. It can be something else controlling them and manipulating their lives. So I love that she's taken these sensitive subjects and she's really been realistic with that side of that world, rather than painting it as this super glamorous, you know, thing to be a model and it's so beautiful and whatever. She's painted that, but she's also painted that darker, dingier side to the behind the scenes, the manipulation, the changes it does to people, the pressures, everything. But on a lighter note, it also highlighted how trauma doesn't have to define your life, and I think that's a really important message to take away, and that you can be happy beyond that period of your life. So even if something like that's happened to you, it doesn't mean that it defines you. You can move on. You are allowed to move on. You're a person. and it doesn't have to define you at all. I think that was also a really nice message to be getting across there. And also, I suppose as well, that it's not always your fault, and therefore you mustn't blame yourself, you mustn't keep kicking yourself, you must find a way to move on. Very important messages, and I love this with Claire's style. She's very good at this, putting really realistic, down to earth messages in there that you can simply understand. And as with sort of Claire's style, the story was just brilliantly told. It's simple but engaging, and it meant that, you know, it was almost impossible to put this book down, because you just got so wrapped up in the story and their characters, their lives, and wanting to know what happens next, because Claire's style is just so easy to read. It's not overcomplicated, it doesn't overcomplicate the situations, it just gives you the facts, what you need as the reader, and it brings you an engaging and interesting dramatic story. And I was very much lost in this story, and so with each story, like I say, Claire brings us, there's something new. She's tried something new again. She's tried a new environment, she's tried a new career, she's tried new characters, and a new situation, and you just can't help but get connected with these characters. They are very realistic, very believable, and they fit stereotypes when they need to, but no matter their background, they always come with surprises. So you can pin a character. There was the one character in here, the top model that Olivia's dating at the time. As soon as I realised what their situation was, I had stereotyped that character, and I was surprised that she fitted the stereotype when she needed to. But there were hidden surprises in there that will catch you out, and I love that with Claire. She always has a hidden depth to her characters as well. And I say they're really realistic, they're really believable, and they always come with a surprise. But the total show stealer in this book, and I mean, Olivia and Hilary are great characters, and I love their chemistry and the way they interact. But for me, I loved Gracie. Gracie was brilliant, right? She's 5 years old. She totally stole the show. And when I was reading her character, when I was reading her dialogue and picturing her in my mind's eye, I was getting, you know, Cece's voice and Hilary's look from Beaches, if you've seen them as kids. And it was really something, if you can get that in your head, for me that really made the book, because it was like I could really imagine something. It was really vivid. It wasn't just a kid. This kid's got personality, and I loved that. And when kids steal a book, sometimes it can overshadow, which this, luckily, like I say, it didn't. But she was just there, and she was that little ray, and she just really brightened the whole story in some ways. Right, little drama queen, and I loved her. But I got that vibe when I was imagining this kid, and it was just brilliant for me as a reader. It gave me, when you can connect it to something as well, I think when you can connect a character or a bit of writing to something else, it gives you perspective, and I really like that. But I completely adored these characters, and I hope we'll see them again in future. It was also lovely to see a few familiar faces pop up in this story, not only from Claire's universe but also from others too. And really, it was magnificent, this book. I really loved it, and I can't praise the story enough. I think for me, every time Claire writes a book, I find a new character to love, and no one will ever replace my favourite Claire character ever. I'm always going to be a Cam girl, but I just think every time she creates a new book, I end up loving it, and I end up hoping it's a series and more inclusive of the universe, and I think it's absolutely great. And this is absolutely fantastic romance. You will definitely enjoy it, so I hope you'll go and check it out. I'll pop a link in the description so you can go and grab a copy. It came out on the 14th of April, so please go and grab yourselves a copy. If you've read Model Behaviour by Highton Stevenson, comment below, get involved, chat about it. It's always great to talk about authors' books and know what you liked and how you found the story and everything like that, and it's great to sort of be involved in that discussion and chat with everyone about books. If you haven't read it yet, but it's on your to be read list, you're interested in reading it, or you have seen this review and you're thinking, oh, I really want to read that book, then again, comment below, because it's always great to hear from you, to hear what you're interested in reading. And if you do grab a copy of it, I really hope you love it. Bye.